Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm participating in the YouTube collaboration Stretch the Sketch, and that's when we take a 12 by 12 sketch and alter it. So here's December sketch. It's sketch number 219 from Better Homes and Gardens. Some of us are going to be stretching it, others shrinking it, and my plan is to stretch it into a double page spread. You're going to find links to all the other participants below, so be sure to check them out. Here's what I'm going to be using. I have material from Crepe Paper's Hey Santa collection, along with some coordinating cardstock and pink glitter paper that I dug out from my stash. Now, before jumping in, I do want to talk about this sketch a bit, because when I first saw it, I really didn't like it. That swirl across the middle, it jumped out at me, and it really doesn't reflect my style at all. The same thing with that title. It's really, really tiny, and I like big titles. I like to play with my titles. But those things are so easy to change, and I can do that without actually compromising the design of this layout, which is actually the bones of this layout. When I look at it, it's multi-photo. That's fantastic. I love that. There's also a clear focal point, another design element that I really do love. And that grouping in the bottom right, that establishes a great diagonal design, another design element I like. In addition to all of this, it's going to be easy to stretch. So I'm going to show you what I plan to do here. Basically, I have 6 photos, and my plan is to take those 2 4x6 photos you see on the sketch, the big ones, and create a horizontal line across the 2 pages. So ultimately, the right-hand page is going to mostly look like the sketch. I don't have the same number of photos. I'm making it work for me, but you're going to see as it develops. Also on the sketch, there really isn't much by way of background paper. So what you see me doing right now is cutting down 3 different papers. I'm cutting 6 strips and I'm putting measurements on the screen. And what I'm going to do is basically create a strong horizontal band across these 2 pages. It's a border or a photo mat. Basically, it's going to house my photos. And by doing that, it's a great way of uniting these 2 pages together. What I'm putting measurements for on the screen are the visual border parts. I cut mine larger and tucked them underneath, but you have the option. You can either cut what I'm writing on the screen or cut them larger like I did and layer them up. Now what you see me doing is cutting out a large half circle. That's going to be that element in the bottom right. And I use the custom cutting system from Creative Memories, the jumbo circle, the inside with the blue blade. Also, I cut out a circle, not a flower like you see on the sketch. And again, that's just putting my own stamp on this layout. That flower is a bit too fluffy for me. I'm more into straight lines. So the circle, simple circle, worked better for me. Now what you see me doing is simply adhering this border to the page. And also what I did was, a minute ago, I took one of those 2 pink strips and I turned it into a tag. I used a retired tag punch from Stampin' Up, and you're going to see me bring it out a little bit later. I only put it on the right page because that part is going to be quite visible on this layout. And on the left page, it's going to be more or less covered up, and I was just wanting to add a bit of visual interest. So you see me lining up the photos, and now what you see me doing is getting out 3 different cardstocks. Basically, I'm auditioning these 3 colors to add photo mats to my photos. I end up going with that dark green, which is Tranquil Tide from Stampin' Up. I find it goes really well with this Hey Santa collection. And this is another way of kind of uniting 2 pages together, is using the same color photo mats. So off camera, I cut myself photo mats for all of these photos, and the photo mats measure 1/4 inch larger than the photos. So you can kind of see how I'm going to line them up here. But right now I've got to establish an area for journaling as well as a title. So I'm showing you my title that I cut out in advance with my Big Shot, and I'm showing you the dies. The larger ones there are retired dies from Stampin' Up called large letter dies. And the smaller ones, actually that's a current set. It's called Playful Alphabet, again from Stampin' Up. The larger ones there I cut out in 2 different colors, the pale pink and the green, and layered them up. And then the pink sparkly ones, well, it's just that pink sparkly paper. So I have that on wax paper. I more or less know where it's going to go. And again, I made a much bigger title than what's on the sketch, just putting my own stamp on this layout, my own style. Now what you see me doing is cutting out a journaling spot. These are dies from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I've been using them a lot lately, or this particular one. Basically, it's a planner page. I absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is kind of layer it up under the main photo, which is going to be on the right page. It's also going to be where I put my title and my journaling. So I'm going to show you how I plan to place all of this. I end up coming in a bit later on and just trimming down that planner page a little bit so that it fits within that paper border. But right now I'm just playing around with the placement of the title, and I end up kind of layering it up. You'll see it better when the wax paper is gone. But before adhering anything, what I really want to do is start establishing 3 areas where I will be creating embellishment clusters. And I like to do that with larger pieces. So I'm going to get out this tag punch again. So what I'm doing is cutting out I'm cutting out 5 strips of paper here basically, and they are all 2 inches each. And what I'm going to do is use that tag punch to make tags out of these. So there's going to be 2 longer ones, and those are going to be placed on the left-hand page, basically kind of as an embellishment base. Also a way to kind of start my page. I want something over there that says, hey, my page starts here. And you're going to notice those ones, I end up cutting the tags on both ends, the top and the bottom. And then the tags on the right-hand page are going to be the smaller ones, and that's all going to go in that half circle grouping. I'm a little out of sync here, but you're going to see how it all works out. Also, when I was selecting the paper for the tags, I thought I was going to go with that white paper with the stars on it, but I found it kind of blah. And when I flipped it over, it had this nice strong pink, so that's what I ended up going with. So you see me fussing around with the placement of these tags, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with it once I fool around with it a bit. And then what I'll do is adhere all of this to the page. So I'm going to speed up the film considerably simply because I'm adhering it exactly where I had placed it all. And one thing on the sketch, the photos are all kind of scrambled. They're all a little tossed this way and that. And again, that doesn't reflect my style. I typically like things pretty straight on my page. So even though my photos bounce up and down, they are adhered straight to the page. And again, that's simply a question of style. I'm making this sketch work for me. So I stopped the film, continued with my title, and then I finished it on camera here. And now what you're going to see me do is start creating my embellishment clusters. I'm showing you this punch from Creative Memories. Basically off camera, I punched out a bunch of those snowflakes in that pink sparkly paper. I would have done it on camera, except the punch kept jamming up and I was worried that my tripod would fall on my head, because that has happened before. So I did them off camera. But what I'm going to do right now is cut out some branches. Basically, it's from a die set called Layered Christmas from Stampin' Up. It's in my stash kit for December. So in my 3 embellishment areas, I want there to be something, either leaves or in this case branches, because this is about Christmas trees. So I'm cutting out a few here for you, and then I stop the camera and do a few more. But basically, they cut out really well. I could be using my precision plate for the big shot, but I end up just putting that piece of purple paper in like a shim to tighten up my machine a bit, and it cuts out fine. And then I took a paper piercing tool and poked them out. So you can see I have a whole bunch of embellishments all around me. And what I'm starting with now is those branches, or are those branches. So I put them in 3 different areas, and I'm sort of happy with that. I put a few more in that larger embellishment cluster in the bottom right. And then what you're going to see me do is come in with some of those sparkly snowflakes. When I create embellishment clusters, I always start with the larger elements and progressively get smaller and smaller. So the branches were bigger and the snowflakes are a little bit smaller, so I'm coming in with that. I don't want these embellishment clusters to take away the focus from my photos, so I'm kind of really tucking them in, but I do want there to be hints of color, and I do want there to be 3 embellishment areas, simply again to unite the 2 pages together. So once I'm happy with that, I'm getting out the ephemera pieces. Now I had selected some of them in advance, more or less along color lines. I did pink and green and a little bit of red. I end up only using the aqua colored ones. So you see me going around with that Santa stamp there. He ends up going at the bottom. There's another thing I want to mention that I did off camera. You're going to notice a little bit later on that Santa stamp at the bottom is tucked under the photo on the right, and the photo on the right I end up popping it up on foam adhesive. I wanted to mention it because there was a lot of layering going on there and I felt it was a bit lost. Anyway, you see me trying to adhere those branches now, and what I was using there is an adhesive called Sticky Specs by Ecstasy Crafts. You basically lift up the cellophane and put the detailed piece on that yellow waxy paper, and it picks up the adhesive. It's messy, and actually at this point my hands are a mess, but it does work with detailed items, so I'm suffering through it basically. And now you see me going in and adhering the snowflakes as well. I'm going around with a few pieces of ephemera here. And at one point, what I'm going to do is come in with some smaller pieces. That's what you see me doing right now with those puffy stickers. So I put something in that tab, in the planner tab up top, and it says Very Merry, something like that. I put something in the middle of that snowflake, a little mouse on the left-hand page. And now what you see me doing is getting out the stickers, and I end up putting a few candy canes above that journaling spot. I just wanted a little bit more pink in that area. What I'm doing at this point is just making sure that all the colors are represented in the embellishment clusters. Finally, I'm coming in to finish off those tags. So I'm creating some rings, some reinforcers for these tags with a small hole punch, a 1/2 inch circle punch, which creates a ring, and then I adhered them to all of those tags. Now normally I put strings in tags, but I have 8 spots to put strings and I found that too much. So what you see me doing is coming in with some enamel dots that I'm putting in 3 of the areas, and those 3 smaller tags in that grouping by the photos in the bottom right, that is where I'm going to be adding string. That's it. All I did off camera was add my journaling, and I also added one more puffy sticker, a little snowman in that half circle in the bottom right. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to Scrapbooking Quebec, I'd be absolutely thrilled if you did. Don't forget there's a list of participants below you can check out to see what they did with December's sketch. And finally, have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with Stretch the Sketch in 2021. Have a great day. Bye-bye.